Hi guys and welcome back to another video. My name is Courtney and I'm from New Zealand and I'm so excited about today's video, guys. So I've already watched the Marine Bootcamp video, right? And I just randomly found this on my newsfeed. It just popped up on my home screen. I'm like, yes, Hundy, I want to watch this. This one is what Army recruits go through at bootcamp. So I'm interested to see like if they're different or what, but I heard that Marine Bootcamp is harder than all other bootcamps. Well, apart from SEAL training, obviously, but I just mean like the main branches type thing, you know what I mean? All right, so leave a comment down below if you're in the Army. Shout out to you, let's do it.
Why are you moving? Why are you moving?
Shit, the scared of shit.
This is Army Boot Camp. Before they join the United States Army, all recruits have to graduate from a 22-week program known as One Station Unit Training, also known as OSUT. It happens here at Fort Benning, a 182,000-acre military installation that straddles the Alabama-Georgia border about 100 miles southwest of Atlanta. Every year, more than 18,000 soldiers graduate before joining the more than 470,000 people actively serving in the Army.
You know, there's more than some
Although most of the recruits that we
countries.
saw during our time there were male,
Population.
recruits trained together in gender-integrated platoons.
These young men and women that volunteer to serve, they show up to us as civilians, and then we take them through a transformative process to turn them into soldiers.
You just go to the position of attention and you stay in position of attention.
On a rain-soaked week in February, we spent 4 days inside the Army's Maneuver Center of Excellence, which trains soldiers to serve in the infantry and armor branches. We saw different companies at various stages of training.
Do we get to see when they first show up? Yes.
On day one, new infantry recruits on a bus from the Atlanta airport arrive at the 30th AG Battalion
goodness.
headquarters, where all new recruits are received.
I'd be scared.
The only thing I want to hear from you at this point is yes, drill sergeant, no, drill sergeant. Do you understand? Yes, drill sergeant. When I tell you, you will pass your folders to the front.
The minimum age to enlist in the Army is 17,
Wow.
and the maximum age is 35. The base salary for an entry-level private is about $20,000 a year.
Let's go! 30 seconds. Hurry up, find your back.
Once they're off the bus, the first order of business is establishing the code of conduct.
Because I promise you, if you don't pay attention to what I'm about to tell you, you're going to make your Army career very short. You treat everybody with dignity and respect, regardless of race, religion, color, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, and all other protected categories. Yes? Yes, Drill Sergeant! Sexual assault is any unwanted physical contact in a sexual nature. So if you put your hands on another individual and you're not instructed to, or you're not saving their life, and they file a sexual assault, and it comes down that you put your hands on this individual when you weren't supposed to, that is going to be on you. You will get kicked out of the military, and then you'll probably have to file as a registered sex offender. Do you understand?
Before they go inside, the new recruits learn some basic commands and standing positions.
Hut train time! Everyone look down at their toes. You should be able to fit a slice of pizza in between your toes. If you look around, they're going to see you. Because you're taller than everyone else! Quickly! Who want to fit there? Grab one and go, all the same!
The recruits grab the snack that's waiting for them inside, consisting of a fruit cup, sunflower seeds, a granola bar, and a juice box.
Watch the video, remain silent.
Since 1775, the Army has been the bearer of our nation's strength in every crisis or conflict. Make no mistake about it, the journey you are embarking upon will not be easy. But you wouldn't be here if we didn't think you couldn't meet the challenge.
Listen up for your last 4-year social.
After being welcomed, recruits begin what's known as processing, which can take 1 to 2 weeks before their actual training begins.
In a little bit, we're giving you a period to go in a room by yourself.
First, They're given one last chance to discreetly dispose of prohibited contraband like drugs, alcohol, tobacco, and inappropriate photographs.
If any photo you possess on your phone is less than a bathing suit, you will not have it. You will delete them all.
Recruits get rid of contraband in an amnesty room, where they dispose of it by throwing it down a metal chute.
Is anybody confused on what you can and cannot have?
The next morning, the recruits report to the barber shop, where one barber has worked at Fort Benning for almost 60 years.
I've been here ever since 1963. That's a long time.
This is already different.
Retired a long time ago. But I wake up in the morning now, I be wanting to come out here and go to work.
This is already different from the Marine Corps.
Recruits are issued
Absolutely.
uniforms. They receive a series of immunizations and vaccines, and get their official photo taken,
that's so
along with
cute.
myriad housekeeping details that fill up their 1 to 2 week stay in processing.
Hey, sit up straight.
That is until processing ends, and the time for training finally arrives.
Let's go. Grab your bags and go.
We found a company of recruits about to begin training in the armor school.
Those are bridle.
These recruits are about to be picked up and taken to their barracks, where they'll reside for the rest of their training.
Let's go. You guys are going to the front. Let's go.
This is the last chance for recruits to change their minds before training begins, like one recruit who decided to stay behind.
Really? Interesting.
This short bus ride from processing to their new barracks will be the most peaceful moments these recruits will experience for a while.
Alright, so the real
What
training
happens
about to
next
happen
is
now.
known as the shark attack.
Here we go. Here's the nitty gritty. I would be so pissed if it was raining. It makes everything so much worse, I feel like.
They say what? Get your bags up right now. Get your bags up this way. Let's go. You're a tough guy. Don't move. Do something. Do something. That's what I thought. Why are you still not understanding? He just said it.
Well, it's really just a little shock to the system, so we can break them down to build them back up. We're breaking a lot of habits from the civilian world, and nothing better than a little shock to the system to establish that that drill sergeant is in charge to let us start our training.
Pick up your bag and hold it.
The recruits spend much of the shark attack holding their heavy rucksacks above their heads, which takes a physical toll.
Why is that so difficult? You can't pick that bag up. You decided to join the army and you can't pick that bag up. Right side back, right side back, right side back.
After about 20 minutes, the intensity begins to subside, and the drill sergeant's tone changes.
We only produce the best soldiers in the United States Army.
Before training officially begins. After the shock and awe of the shark attack, things do appear to calm down.
It's a video. Oh, is it a video?
It's a movie.
Movie, yeah. Alpha 347. I always wanted to be a star.
We found this group of infantry soldiers in week 11 of their training, practicing on the firing range. The mood was much more relaxed,
Try to get ate up on my level.
and their conversations with their drill sergeants are conducted at normal volumes, like when this drill sergeant educated the recruits on the meaning of the military expression, "ate up."
Is a piece of ate up gum good? You don't want something that's ate up, right? You want something fresh. You break the seal, it smells like olive oil, right? Okay.
That dynamic changes because we want the soldiers to become more critical thinkers. At that point, we are turning into more coaches and mentors. We dial it back a little bit, so we don't want them frightened. We want them to be comfortable and in a state of mind that is receptive to learning and performing at that level.
Up to 241 hours of infantry OSIT are devoted to marksmanship, where recruits fire about 2,500 rounds using the M4 carbine, as well as the M249 squad automatic weapon, or SAW.
We create lethality. We create expert marksmen at their individual weapons because as an infantry soldier, that's what we're asking them to do.
Oh, the gas chamber.
Recruits get one of the most painful parts of training out of the way early.
Once we check your seal, you will not touch your pro-mat.
This group of infantry recruits was exposed to CS gas, or tear gas, in week 1 of their training.
You're going to continue to file in until we tell you to stop. You're going to place your back against the wall.
The recruits spend about 5 minutes inside the gas hut. Upon exiting the gas hut, the recruits are told to flap their arms like birds to remove excess gas from their uniforms. According to a drill sergeant, the effects of the gas begin to wear off after about 4 minutes. Some training moves indoors, like combatives, where recruits learn hand-to-hand self-defense tactics.
We're trying to teach them to achieve a dominant body position. So get out of one negative position and then switch roles so they end up having the upper hand in a fight.
During combatives training, recruits warm up with a particularly painful-looking exercise, referred to as the EO. While laying on their backs, they have to engage their core to wiggle across the entire room.
Wow, that's so interesting. I've never seen that before.
Their core.
I've never seen that before in my life.
Warm up the body.
Recruits work up a major appetite during training.
I bet.
But Fort Benning is big, and they're not always within range of the dining facility. When they're training in the field, recruits are issued MREs, which stands for Meal Ready to Eat. Each comes with an entree, like this vegetarian pasta with taco sauce, along with an assortment of items like mixed fruit, an energy bar, and this instant French vanilla cappuccino. Recruits just add water, shake it up, and enjoy.
That's pretty smart.
Once they're fortified, recruits return to their training. Recruits spend up to 60 hours in training known as MOUT, which stands for Military Operations in Urban Terrain.
Door left, door left. One man calls door left.
Infantrymen are expected to fight in different types of terrain and survive and win the fight. Right now, they are getting their first taste of what that's like in an urban environment.
Rolling T, all right, coming up.
In operations across Afghanistan, Iraq, we are conducting clearance operations, and it's applicable wherever we go.
Boom.
It's important for the future soldiers' muscle memory because they are working as a team with minimal communication, and they have to understand how that coordination works together.
Do it again.
After 22 weeks of training, these infantrymen are ready to leave Fort Benning. Friends and family gather to watch their soldiers graduate on Inouye Field.
They look like soldiers, they act like soldiers, they're carrying their head high. I have trainees that were not alive when 9/11 happened. I think that's pretty powerful, that I still can find American citizens that want to volunteer to serve their country when we continue to ask them to go to combat.
True that.
These new infantrymen don't have long to greet their loved ones.
Get on the bus!
Or say goodbye to their friends before leaving Fort Benning to begin their service in the United States Army.
Wow, really? They head off so fast. Wow. Oh, yeah. Seriously, watching the graduation ceremony gets me in the feels. Gets me in the feels, man. I just imagine, like, you know, the friends and family who are there, and the last time they saw them, they were civilian, and then they come walking in as a group like that, marching at the same time with the uniforms on, and it's just like, I can't imagine being that family member and looking at your loved one in the uniform and just being like, oh my God, like, completely transformed, you know? It's gives me the feels, man. Yeah, so definitely from watching this video and the other video that I watched about the Marine Corps, huge difference. Huge difference. I can see that the Army boot camp is a lot more relaxed and less yelling and stuff like that. I can definitely see how the different strategies work for each branch. The Marines is more like breaking them down, kind of like what the Army soldier said in this. Well, you break them down, and bring them back up with the new kind of morals and the new ideas of how to do things. But I feel like the Army doesn't really have that. They have that, but in a much smaller way. I feel like from what I just see, the Marine Corps boot camp can create a lot more discipline, since it does go for so long and it's just ingrained in you by the time you leave. But in the Army, that breaking down process is much smaller than it is in the Marine Corps. But I get what they mean about, you know, they did break them down a little bit and brought them back up again, but you know, they said like they want them to feel relaxed and not scared and make good decisions and stuff like that, which is interesting. I personally prefer the Marine Corps way. Someone commented on one of my videos saying like, on the Marine Corps video, it was like, oh my god, this is so dehumanizing, how could you like think this is okay, blah blah blah. I'm like, but they're there to do a job, and this is how they need to be trained for the job. You know, it's like you can't really be a Marine without going through that, because what would being a Marine even mean if you just go through some half-assed shit? You know, you kind of have to be yelled at. You kind of have to go through that process to become a Marine, you know, and I do prefer that way because I can understand it. The Army is just a bit different. Much more low-key. I think this is why, you know, if you've gone through Marine Corps boot camp and you get out of the Marine Corps, you can go back into the Army. You don't need to do the boot camp. But if you get out of the Army and you go into the Marine Corps, you have to do the boot camp in the Marine Corps because it's like more intense than the Army boot camp. But super interesting. Shout out to all the Army soldiers out there. I see you. Definitely not taking away how difficult boot camp would be in any branch, of course, but it's definitely just a different approach to it. That's just in comparison to the Marine Corps boot camp that I watched. So thank you so much for watching today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you have any more recommendations, leave a comment down below, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.
In the car, and I put it on my mama. And my bitch call, talking about some drama. I swear there ain't